Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Katsia. For today's video, I had mentioned to you that I was going to be doing a Q&A and my everyday makeup, and that's exactly what this video is going to be all about. So I received some questions and things that you wanted to know about me from YouTube and Instagram, so I'm going to do my best to answer as many as possible and the best way I can. We're going to jump right into this video. Enjoy! So my face is ready to go. I put my face creams. Maybe next time I can show you my whole skincare routine. But as of right now, I'm just going to focus on my everyday makeup. So we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to answer some Q&A questions for you as we go. And I'm going to show you also the products that I'm using. On a daily, I would say my makeup takes about maybe 15 minutes to do. But right now I'm going to take my time, go through all your questions, and just do my makeup slowly so I can answer as many questions as possible. So the first product I use, this is just how I do my makeup. There are so many ways that people do their makeup, but this is just what works for me and I find makes my skin look the most flawless. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a makeup artist, although I did go to makeup school and I did study in makeup, but I'm not claiming to be a makeup artist because it is not my full-time job. I don't do this, it's not my profession, but I did go to makeup school. So my first product that I'm using is from Charlotte Tilbury. I first apply this all over my face and I just think it gives this glowy effect to your skin. So that's what I'm gonna do first off. And I just rub it in and just pretty much put it all over my face. Second product I use is the Professional from Benefit. I'm going to start answering some of your questions as I'm going through my whole makeup. So I'm going to start off with my first question, and it is from Adriana Torres. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to be butchering all of your names. But it says, you seem very comfortable with yourself and carry yourself well. Thank you. Have you always been this way, or was this a gradual acceptance? And that is such a great question. Honestly, really good question. I have not always been this way. This is something that I still till this day struggle with. Just working on accepting myself, loving myself. To be honest, if you would have told me maybe a few years ago that I would have been doing YouTube, I would have told you there is no way. I just didn't feel confident. I thought I was going to be made fun of. I was just very self-conscious. So even thinking of doing YouTube before, I would have told you guys are crazy. I am not doing that. I was comfortable behind the camera of pictures, but to start talking and putting myself more out there was definitely a big fear of mine and a challenge for me. At some point I told myself, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna start doing things that scare me more. And so I started my YouTube channel. That pushed me to start working a lot more on myself and just working on accepting that this is who I am. You take it or leave it. You either love it or you don't. And if people can't accept me for who I am and don't love me for what I can bring, then it's their loss of not getting to know me and not having me a part of their life. So this was definitely something that I still struggle with, and I probably will struggle with the rest of my life. And I think we all do. It's a whole big growing process and a huge learning experience. I'm just working on it. I've been working on it with my meditations, with my yoga. There are so many ways that I've been trying to get in tune with myself and just really work on who I am and who I want to become, and just to work on being the best version of myself. That was such a great question. Thank you so much, Adriana. I really appreciate that one. I stopped doing my makeup. See, I have trouble doing two things at once. It's just one of those things I have trouble doing. So we're gonna move on to my QO blur stick. I put the Professional, but I'm also putting this right underneath my eyes and obviously where my pores are a little bit enlarged. So I just put that like right next to the nasal, sort of on the cheek areas. The next step, I don't know if people are going to cringe or they're going to be like, why are you doing this? But this is just something that I've found that works for me. I just think makes my skin look all the more flawless. Most people would put their pressed powder after their foundation, but I tend to put my pressed powder just a little bit of a swipe on my face underneath the foundation. And then I put it over as well. But this is just a little trick that I've took throughout the years, and I felt that it just worked for me and my skin type. So I'm going to dust on a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury, and then I'm going to use my e.l.f. brush. I'm going to leave all the products that I did use and the brushes as well. So this is the e.l.f. If I can see, I don't have my glasses. It is the powder brush. So it's this one here. And I just lightly take a little bit and I just sort of put it where I am most prone to get a little bit oily. So I go near the nasal, just a little on the chin, and then on the forehead. And that's pretty much it. I just do a little sweep of it lightly. I'm going to move on to my next question. And this is from Buff Montana. It is, what kind of food do you like to cook? Oh my gosh. Okay, so first off, I hate cooking. I have never been one to cook. I love to bake, but I don't know what it is. I just don't like cooking. Since I'm a kid, I've never been one to like food. First of all, I was always a picky eater. So I think it started with being the picky eater, and then it just moved my way into I don't like to cook. The type of food that I do eat, I am very plant-based. I like things raw plant-based. I don't like meat. So a lot of the things are pretty much raw. So from nuts to vegetables to fruits, everything that's plant-based and organic, that's my thing. The most I'll do is probably use a pan with some coconut oil and just, I don't know, cook up something really simple, or do a little bit of butternut squash or zucchini pasta, but I am just not a big cook. And to be honest, neither is my husband, so we are both horrible at cooking. We just stick to plant-based foods, so there's no problem there. Do I like to cook? No. So once I've lightly brushed the powder on, I'm going to move on to the Fenty Beauty foundation. I've been recently using this one, and I think it's just so lightweight. It just looks very sheer. I mix it in. Again, I go with the Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. I mix those two together. I just think that they make your skin just look natural, but still covering a little bit. So I would say it's maybe like a very lightweight medium coverage, almost light medium. I'm going to tell you guys what I do after. So anyway, I'm going to take a dab of the Flawless, and then I just sort of put it on my hand, and then I mix it in with the Fenty. So, and then I blend it. And I put some like this on my chin, near the nasal, on my forehead, and then I just sort of dab, and then the rest I just put it on my neck, because you always want to bring down things on the neck. Don't forget about your neck, your ears. I've seen some, I mean not seen, I have done those things where I had like my makeup and half of it was just not blending in into the neck. Now I blend everything all the way down. I've seen some people and I'm like, oh my God, I am so doing that, and I'm like, no bueno, you can't. Everything has to blend, bring it down. On the ears, we don't think about the ears, but the ears also. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Beauty Blender, and it's sort of a little bit damp, so I just, obviously blend it in. I'm gonna actually, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna answer another question, and this is from Sherry Bingham. She says, do you have any thrifting advice or secret suppliers you can share? The only advice or tricks that I might think of right now is I just go into the thrift store with an open heart and open mind. I don't go in there necessarily looking for something specific. There are times I do, but most of the time I just go in with an open heart, and whatever it is that I find and that I'm drawn to, I'll sort of see if there's a purpose for it and if it would look beautiful in my home decor. So keeping an open mind and not having something very narrow when you're going into the store and just thinking of, okay, I need to only get this. Just sort of going through the aisles and just looking at things gives it that you can find some sort of treasure, that you would not find. Another thing I would suggest is, and that I've done throughout the years, is a lot of people go thrifting and then they don't go for a little while, but I tend to go every few days to the thrift store because they literally restock every single day. They restock things, they put new things on the shelf. So if you don't want to miss out on maybe an amazing piece, you pretty much have to go pretty often to just make sure that you're not missing a piece that you wouldn't have seen if you wouldn't have gone. So that is really important. I think that's a trick that I use as well. It's not a trick, it's just I love thrifting, so to me going every day is just fine, right? But for someone that is not prone to going every day, I would say to go every 2-3 days and just pop in, even if it's just for like a 5-minute little run that you do around the store, and just check out if they received any new products or any new items. And that alone is a little trick that I use. Also, when I go in a store and I find this piece that I was drawn to, you weren't looking for it, but you can see potential with it, either to revamp it or to do a DIY with it. I go in and I see the beauty in things, so I just tend to be drawn towards something. And if there's something that speaks to me and that I see potential in either revamping or DIYing it, I think being open to whatever comes your way is the right way to go about thrifting. And that's just a personal preference. I know some of my friends, they actually know exactly what it is that they want, and when they go in there, they try to find it. But that's just not how I thrift. I feel it takes away from the whole experience, and I just think it's like you're going into a, like, I don't know, like a toy store, and you're just going and looking at all the toys, and you're just finding like the perfect Barbie, you know? That's just my way of thrifting, and that's just what I feel works for me and makes it all the more magical. So that's what I have to say for that question. Okay, I think I've dabbed enough on my face. Another thing now that I'm going to do, because the Fenty is so lightweight, I then go into different areas that I feel want to be more covered. So then I go in with my NARS foundation, and I just take a tiny little bit of a dab on my beauty blender, and then I place it on my chin, and then I place it around my navel because I have a little bit of rosacea around the nose. And then I go a little bit underneath the eyes, but not too close to the underneath the eyes where the cracking starts happening. We don't want cracking. No cracking. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do next. I'm also going to answer another question. And this is from my gorgeous babe, Sisters Jewelry. She asked, were you born in Canada? And another person asked, where do you live? So yes, I was born in Canada, Montreal. My mom is French from France and half Hungarian. Now my dad's side is half German, half Ukrainian. I was born here, but on my dad's side, German, Ukrainian. My mom's side is Hungarian and French from France. And also, my grandmother was born in Montreal, Canada as well. Actually, she was born in Trois-Rivières. So when people ask me what I am, I say I'm pretty much international. I am a mutt. I am a mixture of all kinds of different nationalities, and I love that. Yeah, I live in Montreal, Canada, and I was born here. I just take a tiny little dab, I put it on my chin because I feel I have a little bit more redness there, and then I go around here a little bit, and then I just dab it in here very lightly, and I just bring it up a little bit. I just dab, dab, dab. When I'm doing those areas, I go really lightly. The other one, I really wanted to like sort of melt into my skin, but the NARS, I tend to just go a little bit lightly because I do want it to be a little bit more surface so it does cover and I'm not absorbing it in my sponge again. So very lightly. For, I guess, the concealer, I don't really like using concealer. I think it just makes my under eye look worse. So what I do again is I go back in with the Fenty foundation and then the Flawless Charlotte Tilbury. I just put a little bit on my fingertips, and then I just go so slightly underneath the eye. Because of the whole highlight of the Flawless Charlotte Tilbury, I think it adds a little bit of light. I was trying to find my words. I'm like, light. It just gives a little glow there. And it doesn't also crack underneath. As the day goes on, I hate when foundation just starts, like concealer starts creating cracks. It drives me nuts. So I just go very lightly underneath. And that's pretty much what I'm going to use for my concealer. And then I just bring the rest that's on my beauty blender and I bring it on the top of my eyelid. And that is pretty much it when it comes to the whole foundation part. Moving on to my next question while I'm doing all of this. This is from Chrissy Care, and she asks, can you give us affordable options to find boho clothes? So I think there's different ways that you can find affordable boho clothing. One of them being obviously thrifting. You can find things that are pretty reasonable and just very special pieces at a thrift store that are very much boho. Another thing that I love to do as well is I love to go into a common store like H&M, Zara. So I get some pieces from there, but then I also mix it up with thrifted pieces that are more original and different and unique. And just blending the two, making it very modern, but yet bringing a little bit of some either old school or an antique piece or something that is vintage. Mixing the two, I just think makes the perfect combo to create that whole boho look. You can find some inexpensive stores like Forever 21, H&M is pretty reasonable. These are all sort of reasonable price points that you can find cute clothes. But the reason why I like to mix it, it just makes the look unique and it just changes it up a little bit. Or if you want to buy an expensive piece, you want to put your money towards something that's a little bit more pricey, then putting something that's also mixed in with thrifting, it just creates a great balance. So you're spending money on a good piece that's going to last you for a very long time, and then you're just going out to the thrift store and finding something that complements it. Those are just ways that I think you can work with finding affordable clothing and just working around your budget. Oh, and another thing, if you're a good sewer and you love to sew, then sewing is definitely a way for you to buy some fabric and be unique and just, make it a little bit less pricey. But be careful with sewing your own clothes. Sometimes it adds up and it's actually even more expensive. It's sort of if you find a good piece of fabric, or even just go to the thrift store and find this beautiful tablecloth that you see potential in making a dress out of it. That's a great way to revamp something that is inexpensive and that you can also be creative and make a unique piece. That is that for Chrissy Care. So next step, I want to make sure, because when I put a bit of foundation near the nose, I tend to feel it doesn't really go like in the crevices. So I take my e.l.f. brush, and which one is this? So I use my e.l.f. sort of flat brush, and then I take a little bit of my Charlotte Tilbury and I really go into the sides and I try to blend it a little bit just so that it's just softens and just blends it near the nose. I hate that when I see like it just gets all stuck up in there. So I tend to do this right here, just to make it look blended in. Then I'm gonna take the same Charlotte Tilbury. I'm gonna take my beauty blender, I'm gonna dab it a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it and just dab it on my chin, the sides of my nose, on the top of the nose, and the forehead. And then I'm going to bring the point of my beauty blender and just go slightly near the eye, not completely near the eye where the creases are, but just sort of underneath where the dark circles are. So I just go a little bit there, like this. And then the top, I just sweep the rest on the top. So moving on to my next questions, and this I got so many questions about my hair. I got some asking, tell us about your dreadlock hairstyle. How do you treat your dreadlocks so they do not get all stuck together when you sleep? My routine, how I style and take care of them. I had someone else ask me this. People with dreads don't wash their hair. Is this true? Okay, no. I wash my hair like everybody else. Just because we have dreads doesn't mean I don't wash my hair. Let me just start off how I started with my dreads. So the whole dread thing started, I would say, about 10 years ago. I had started doing the whole hair wraps, those colored hair wraps. I did a tutorial on them, and they were these colorful hair wraps. And so I used to do those just to add a little bit. I used to braid my hair and then just do the hair wraps. And as I was leaving them in the hair, it started creating dreadlocks on the top of the hair because all of the hair was sort of merging together underneath the hair wrap. So when I took out my hair wraps, I was realizing that I was having a little portion of it was becoming a dread. I always found dreads beautiful, and I've always thought, hey, why not? Should I try it? Should I do it? So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. So I went to a special place where they do dreads. And my hair was very long. My hair was almost, I would say, on the top of my butt. It was pretty long. So when I went in there, I just wanted a few dreads. So I think in total I have I think 12 dreads. I didn't want my dreads to come all the way on the top. I did want it to be like dreads, but still subtle and a bit of movement in my hair. That's just a preference, but I do think that dreads all over the hair is beautiful too. Like dreadlocks, I've seen some girls with, I mean, amazing and beautiful dreadlocks all over the hair, but I did want to keep it half flowing hair and then the rest my dreads. I also wanted that the ends of my dreads didn't go all the way, like I didn't want my dreads to go all the way to the end. I wanted to feel like there was movement at the bottom as well. So I got those done, and then I started adding in my hair wraps around them again, just to make them a little bit more different and more colorful. That's how I started with the dreads. And I've had dreads now for about, I would say, I think I'm going on like 6 years maybe. The way that I wash my hair and I take care of my hair, I wash my hair just like everybody else. I wash my hair about every 2 to 3 days. I shampoo my hair, I shampoo my dreads, I wash them. But then I also do a deep clean. So when I say deep clean is I buy this special ball and it has tea tree and peppermint oil in it. I have this sort of inflatable sink. So every 6 months, I lie in there for about half an hour. I let my dreads soak, and all the leftover soap or shampoo or whatever it is, all the dirt just lifts out of it. So that's how I do a deep clean of my dreads. So I would say every 6 months I do that, and every 2 months I change up my hair wraps around my hair. But as far as washing my hair, I wash it just like everybody else every 2 to 3 days. Some people wash it one day yes, one day no. Some people can go a whole week without washing it, but I tend to feel I need to wash my hair at least every 2 to 3 days. That is the whole routine and how my dreads came about. Okay, I'm gonna continue on with my makeup. Back to the makeup, guys. I'm going to go in with my Sephora bronzer. I think it's such a beautiful color. So I go again with my e.l.f. brush. I lightly dab it and then just do it on the cheekbones. And Lord knows I got some big cheekbones. So I do this here. I bring it up on the forehead, on the top there. I mean, it's obvious. You put your bronzer where the sun hits and if you were to get a suntan. So I pretty much do it here. I do a little bit on the chin. I go on the side of my jawline and then bring it down to the neck. I just dab it a little bit on my nose because I'm going to go back with a little bit of contouring on the nose. So that's it for the bronzing part. Then I go in with my Smashbox Shine Like a Star You Are. So I go in with this, and it has these 3 beautiful shimmery highlighters. So I tend to I start off with this one, and then I use a little bit of the pinkish. I just take now my Rare Beauty brush, this one here. I go in with the gold, and I just go again on my cheekbones right here. I know it might seem like this really long process, but I swear guys, it takes 15 minutes to do. Like in the morning, like I literally do this in like 15 minutes. But right now I'm taking my time and really like wanting to answer your questions. Anyway, then I go into the pinkish one and I just go on the top where I smile right here. But I do bring it a little bit further up, just to give like that nice color. And I go on the top of my nose also with the pinkish, and I bring it up a little bit on the temples. So it just gives a little youthful glow. And that's what we're going for, girls. We are going for the whole youthful. I'm going to move on to my next question. My next question is from Montana Janie, and she asked, where was your favorite place you traveled? So a few years ago, I would say maybe 6 years ago, I lived in the Cayman Islands for 2 years, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the beach, I loved the heat, I loved the slow-paced lifestyle. In Montreal, Canada, or even in New York or in the States, I feel the pace, we're so on a go-go and, you know, work and getting things done. We just don't appreciate the now. And when I lived on the island, I was really blown away by just how you have no notion of time. A month would feel like a year there, you know? It's just everything is just slower. And I love that. You just feel more relaxed, you feel more in tuned. I loved living in the Cayman Islands, but there is a few places I still haven't gone, and I was gonna go before the whole COVID thing. I absolutely wanted to go to Bali. I wanted to go to Thailand, Indonesia. Those are places that I am so sure I am going to love. Even Costa Rica. I would eventually love to go back and live on the beach. That's just something, me and my husband love the beach. We just feel at home where there's beach. So eventually, when things are a little less crazy, I think we're gonna maybe go to Bali and Thailand to see if this is even a possibility of maybe us living there. That's something that maybe we're thinking of. But as of right now, of all my travels so far, I would say Cayman Islands was pretty much a really beautiful island, and I enjoyed very much my experience living there. I might come back on that maybe in a few years, and I'll let you know which one was really my favorite. But up until the age of, I would say, 22, I had not traveled nowhere. Nowhere. I've never gone anywhere. I've never even gone on a plane. But thanks to my husband, he's the one that introduced me to traveling and just seeing different places, living in different places. So that was such an eye-opener for me. It just made me see things so much differently. It helped me grow. So traveling to me is so important. I just love it. I love living new experiences too. I'm very much gypsy-like. I love to just not stay in the same spot and just live the same thing every day like a Groundhog Day. It's just not my thing. At some point, I always want change, whether it's moving, trying different places, living in the city, living in the country, living in the beach. I just love trying new things. So I just can't wait for things to just get back a little bit to where it's a little bit easier to travel and less complicated. And I'm really looking forward to that. So moving on to the makeup. I'm sorry guys, I have trouble focusing on doing my makeup and answering questions, so I might take little pauses in between of doing my makeup. Next up, I am using the Too Faced contour, and there's all these colors here. What I do is I take this color, and this is just to contour a little bit of my nose, you know? I dab this, dab that, and then I take my little brush since it's on an angle, and I just squeeze it, and I just go a little bit on one side, go on the other side, and then I go underneath the nose, so like right here at the tip of the nose. And then what I do, and I mentioned to you in another video that I wasn't doing for the longest time, and I realized that it looked horrible in, I think it was like MAC Cosmetics, the lighting in there. I looked at myself in the mirror and realized how horrible. I always ended it over here, the contouring, and then continue it around the eyes. Oh my God, I learned my lesson. So you take it and you just sort of brush it around the lid, just so it just continues and doesn't have a huge, like it stops right there in the corner. Very important. I just bring it around the eye. And that's it. Moving on to my next question. This is from Miss Gladstone. She is asking your best thrift places in Montreal. My best thrift places is Village, which is Value Village. Then there's Renaissance, and then there's Armée du Salut. So those are my three favorite places. I prefer the ones on the South Shore, but there are so many value villages that I tend to go whenever I'm in that area. I sort of Google map to see if there's a value village or one of the Renaissance or Armée du Salut, and if there is, I will stop in and just check and just, you know, try something different and just change up the store. Depending on the different locations too, I mean, the things can vary in the store. If you're in a more richer area, then the things that are going to be in the Value Village are going to be a little bit more luxurious. Not all the time, but it does happen. So depending on where I am, I just go to the thrift store. Next, I'm going to go again with my little Charlotte Tilbury, put 3 little dots right here on each of my cheekbone. Take my beauty blender, and then I'm gonna go like this, but I'm also gonna bring it underneath the eye. and then bring it on the top of the forehead. Like, not the top of the forehead, the top of the eyebrow. So I just go here, bring it around, and then go right underneath. So I don't know if it's showing, but this one seems a little bit more like, I don't know, just more camouflaged. Less of the dark circle popping through. So I just think it just adds a little pop. So then I go here again, and then I'm going to bring it underneath the eye as well, on the temple, and then the top of the eyebrow. And then I just leave the leftover and I just dab it on the top of my eyelid. Next question from Chrissy Care. Where do you buy your sterling silver statement rings? I used to be an influencer, a fashion influencer, so a lot of jewelry designers sent me jewelry. A lot of my rings and jewelry have been gifted from so many amazing and talented jewelry designers. So a lot of them are from there. I've bought some beautiful statement rings from different travels, even thrift shops. That's where I get my jewelry. Moving on to my eyebrows. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Brow. It is in the color taupe. Brows are tricky. I went through all of my phases. I went through some really thin brows. I went through some thick here, thin there. I went through some crazy thick brows. Now I'm just sort of in my natural brows, and then I just sort of fill them in just so that they look not crazy. So I fill them in with the pencil brow. I just go a little bit underneath just to shape them a little bit. And then I go also on the top, just a little bit here, just to shape them out. And then I go where there's a little bit of some space where there's lack of some brows. And then I just bring it into a point here a little bit. It's always hard doing brows while you're talking. Bear with me, guys. And then I just take my brush and then I just sort of brush it just to make it a little bit less like I drew on my eyebrows. I want them to look natural. Then I go with the other side, do the same thing, go underneath here. Just shape them out a little bit. Go on the top. Because where I lack a little bit of eyebrows, like where you can see a little bit here, is usually it's on the top, and I would say on the bottom, and a little bit right here, you know? But I just think it creates more of a shape to my eyebrows when I do it this way. It just looks like the most natural. At some point I had some crazy eyebrows. I was bringing my eye pencil like all the way to the tip here and creating like huge square. If I can find a picture, I will put it up there for you. That was crazy. I don't know what I was thinking, but I think we all go through those crazy eyebrow phases. But that was definitely a really crazy eyebrow phase. Really crazy. So anyway, I don't bring it all the way to the end right now. I just literally stop, I would say, at the point of my eye right here, not where the end of the nose. I literally stop here. And then what I'm going to do is just brush them out. I'll show you after what I'm going to do. This is just to shape them and fill them in a little bit. I'm going to try to answer the next question while I'm doing my eyebrows. Next question is from Luco Smith. And the question is, do you have a day job? My day job, I started as an influencer, and my day job is actually a fashion influencer and a YouTuber full time. So I took that step maybe 2 years ago. I started doing that literally full time and working with clients, working with companies. So I would say about 2 years that I've been doing this where I am not working at a day job. Yeah, this is my full-time job. I am a YouTuber and an influencer. I would have never thought that I could have done something that I love so much. I love what I do. I love creating. I love inspiring people. I'm the luckiest person to be able to do this. Thanks to social media and thanks to all of my followers, the people that appreciate and see the beauty in what I create, I mean, is the best feeling. And I could not be more grateful for all of these opportunities and all these companies that have contacted me and wanted to work with me. I just love my job. So I'm so lucky and fortunate. It might look all fun and dandy, but I've mentioned this, I think, in my Insta stories. Sometimes it can be very challenging. I mean, it has its ups and downs. You can have creative blocks. It's not always, you're not always in the mood to do videos or filming. Just being creative. It's not on a daily. It's like asking a painter paint a painting and a masterpiece every day. It's not doable. So I try to take a little bit of breaks in between just so I can come up with something that I'm proud of and to share with you. I don't want to put out videos just to put out videos for the fun of it, you know? I just really want to take my time to put out content that I think that you guys will appreciate. But it has its challenges. I think in every field, there's always its ups and downs. So as much as I love what I do, it does have its downfalls. Anyway, I'm still grateful. I mean, if I had to choose a job, this is definitely the best I've ever had to me. That, and I've been a stylist as well. You know, stylist for photo shoots and other things. I love that. I think that's as good as my brows are gonna look. So just brushing them out. I feel like when you brush it out, it just sort of blends the liner into the brows instead of just sitting on top of the brows. It just mixes the brows with the liner. You know what I'm saying. Moving on to the next step, I take my Benefit Brow Gel. It's in clear. I don't know if this is picking up. And I just take a little bit. Like I told you, I don't bring the brow liner all the way to the end. So what I like to do is I just take a little bit of the brow gel and I bring my eyebrows inwards, just so I create, like, they sort of go a little bit in the inside and not so like crazy on the other side. And then I just comb it through all the way to the end and just lift them up a little bit. And then while it's drying, I'll bring it back up again in the middle here. And I just hold it there for like 2 seconds. And then I just comb it through like this. I do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, it's this whole step. You want your eyebrows to look natural, but there's a few steps that I do in order to attain that. Because there's another step. That's not it. This is just to sort of put them in place so that they don't, you know, move and it just... Okay. So then I let the eyebrows dry. While they're drying, I usually go into the mascara and I use the Ilia mascara. I got the smaller one because I finished my big one, but I love the Ilia. I think the brush is small and I like when a brush is small and not fluffy. I just think there's less clumps that accumulate on the ends of your eyelashes. And then I sort of just, you know, take a little bit of it out. And then I just go from the root up and I wiggle. Then I take my eyelash curler and then I curl these babies. I used to be so scared. My mom used to do this and I was like, what is she doing? I mean, it looked like this weird Hannibal Lecter thing. So for the longest times I would be scared of it. But yeah, I just think that curling your eyelashes make the difference because I don't put fake lashes. It's just not my thing. I don't like eyeshadow. I don't like fake lashes. I think it looks so beautiful on so many girls, but me, oh my God, I just can't. I love a good lipstick. Eyeshadow, it's just not my thing. So then I just go a little bit on the bottom of the lash. And I didn't used to do that, but I think it opens up the eye a little bit more. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. It gives a more like dull effect. I don't like, some people over put mascara and it's okay. I mean, some people it looks beautiful on, but I like it that yes, I have mascara, but that it still looks somewhat natural. If I go out and I'm doing something, I'll put the wing eyeliner or if I'm doing a video, but for my everyday, I don't always put the liner, to be honest. So I'm doing my everyday makeup for you. So eyeliner is not part of it. I'm gonna go onto the other eye here. And then I go from the root and I wiggle my way up just so I get really at the bottom of the root of the eyelash. And then I just wiggle it. Again, I go with my eyelash curler. I think I have one more question for you. So once I'm done my eyelashes, I'm going to answer that last question. Then I put at the bottom of my eyelashes. Now, since my eyebrows are dry and sort of fixed in place, I go back with the e.l.f. What does it say? Okay, so then I go in with my e.l.f. Brow Wow right here. And then I just take a tiny little bit and then go in the corner here where I sort of brought it in. I just put that there and then I just play around with it till I like the shape of it, like right here. I don't know if you can see it. I just like bringing it in, the eyebrows up and in. And then the rest, I'll just lightly put it on the rest of the eyebrow. There you go. Eyebrow done. 3-step for my eyebrows. I got some crazy eyebrows. Okay, so for my last question, it is from Betty Boop. Where do you take and find inspiration for your fashion and style and home? I've gotten asked this question quite a bit and I never know how to go about answering it, so I'm going to answer it the best that I can. I am someone that has a hard time, it's very clear in my mind of how I see things or it's very clear, but when I come to delivering it or talking and explaining things to people, it just comes out like a big hodgepodge. So bear with me. I hope that it's going to come out somewhat that you guys can get what I'm trying to say. Okay. So first off, I get a lot of my inspirations from Pinterest when it comes to home decor. Sometimes I go in stores, I get inspired. I like to look at trends, whether it's in home decor or it's in fashion. I like looking at other artists, what they're doing, how they're getting inspired, and I get inspired from their work as well. So that is definitely a way I get inspired. This is where it gets a little bit tricky to explain something. I'm very mood dependent. So my inspirations a lot of the time comes from how I feel. So depending how I feel, sometimes let's say in fashion, I feel very boho today. Or there's another day I feel like I want to be a little bit more grunge. Or there's days where I want to be a little bit more sporty. Or, more witchy and more goth. It really depends on how I feel and how I want to express myself. I think it's the same way I feel when it comes to home decor. The only thing I would say with my home decor is that I do love to keep things more in the earthy and natural tones. As much as I love using color and bright, bold things when it comes to my fashion, I tend to be a little bit more reserved when it comes to my home decor. As long as the colors I know will be neutral, I won't get tired of them. I won't get, fed up. So I tend to stay more neutral when it comes to my home. But as far as fashion, I love expressing myself through color and through, not necessarily all the time. Sometimes I love being minimalist. I like being, wearing an all white outfit or an all cream, or depending on how I'm feeling. So the best way to explain it is that I'm very mood dependent. I think I get a lot of my inspirations on just how I feel. As much as I get inspired from looking at Pinterest and all those other things, it's more of just how I feel that day. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's pretty much it. That's how I get my inspiration. We are done with the whole face thing. Now we're going to move on to the lips. I usually put my Broco Fusion. It's just a stick, and you can put it all over your face, to be honest, but I love to put it on my lips, and I put it before I did my makeup, and then I like to reapply it after. It just sort of hydrates my lips. Next, I'm going to use what color is this? I can't even see. It's from Rimmel. It's just a lip liner. It's this sort of taupey, beigey brown color. So that's a color that I just line my lips. And I didn't like lining my lips, but I started doing this maybe a few months ago, and I'm like, ooh, I'm liking this. So I restarted lining the lips, and I don't do it like crazy, because when I was in high school, we used to take our eyebrow pencil and we would literally line our lips and then put foundation, and then that was your lipstick, and you'd see the line like full blown. So to me, a liner automatically goes to that time in my life, which was fine, but it just was not a natural look at all. Now that I saw with the liner, it can totally be beautiful and natural, I started doing it, and I cannot stop myself from lining my lips. And to be honest, I mean, we all somewhat don't have perfectly symmetrical lips. If you do, I'm so jealous. But most of the times we do have lips. Well, anyway, I'll speak for myself. I have a lip that's a little bit, this side is smaller than this side. So I just want to make it look a little bit more even, make it look as symmetrical as possible. So that's what the liner does for me. So some people like doing the liner a little bit more rounder or connected. I tend to go more with the shape of my lips, which is a little bit more on the point. And then I sort of round the tips off just a little bit so I don't look like I got a mustache going on. So I just do that. Then I bring in a little bit of my lip liner inside on the corners here. Then I go in with my Kate Moss, I believe it's from Rimmel, and it's this sort of like beigey nude color, not beigey, it's a nude color. I love this color. I love it. Even if I like wear it alone too, it's not like super crazy nude. And then I just go over the whole lip area, and it just creates this really nice, more nude color. And it tones it down a little bit so it doesn't look so crazy. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I forgot my highlighter on the tip of my nose. What the heck? So I go with the Catrice highlighter. I just take a little bit on my finger, and then I go a little dot here. And then I bring a little bit of a line right here. Then I also bring it right here, and I should have done this before. Around my Cupid's bow, just a little bit. And then I usually put it right in the center of my eye. I don't know how I forgot to do this. Going back to my question of, you know, I've accepted myself as who I was, and for the longest time, it was, when I said it took me a very long time to start YouTube, the reason being, I'm someone that has a hard time expressing herself vocally. It's very easy for me to express myself in my art, in general, but as see, there you go. As soon as I start overthinking of how I'm supposed to say something, that's when I start blocking. And for the longest times, I always thought that people, because when I would talk to people, I'm very uncomfortable, and I'm someone that's very socially awkward, surprisingly. So for me, talking to someone takes up a lot of me. It's very hard. It's not that I don't want to. I love having people talk to me, but I just don't know what to answer or what to say. So I'm overthinking in my head of saying the right thing. So I think for so many years, I have struggled with that. Just feeling that people are judging me or thinking that I'm not smart enough just because I'm not able to express myself properly. So that was definitely something that I struggled with, and I think I'm getting better at. I think YouTube is helping me really just let go and just, I am who I am. It's just helping me. I'm so grateful just of that alone, being able to get past those fears, and I'm slowly seeing that I'm able to talk more to people and being able to express myself a little bit more, not necessarily just through my art and my fashion, but also through my talking. I don't know why that came in my head. That was definitely one of the big things that I struggled with. It's not always been easy. There's many other things, and I'll keep that for another time. I mean, I think we're all human and we all have our issues. Yeah, this girl has quite a bit of issues, guys, but I'll keep that for another time. Not all in one video. Next step I'm going to do, and that's the last, actually there's two more, I promise this does take 15 minutes. I swear it does. I'm just going to put a little bit of gloss right in the center. Like this. And this is the e.l.f. Oh, it's the e.l.f. plumping gloss. So I just put that on there. And then for my final step, I use the POREfessional from Benefit. It's the spray. And then I just spray it all over because we want to keep this intact, especially with the masks that we're wearing. I mean, half of our freaking makeup goes on those masks. So it just allows it to set and just keep things a little bit somewhat in place. So yeah, that is pretty much my everyday makeup. I hope you enjoyed this whole Q&A and makeup. I found it fun. I hope you liked it as much as I had fun doing this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your love, your support. I will see you in my next video. Have a good day, guys.